everyone. Hope you guys are having such an amazing day today. We are so excited to bring to you our February spotlight. She's truly an amazing person. She has a heart that you're definitely hear when she tells you her story. But before we dive in, my name is Taishita. I am known as the Global Signature Architect, where I create transformational retreats worldwide for founders to really connect and get outside of the digital age, but really connect with that human connection, being able to have in person experiences, but also making sure that you can add loyalty and validation to your client database. So, with that being said, I'll pass it to Star.
Cool. Thank you, Ty. And hi, I'm Star Dixon, founder of Mitsu's, a marketplace where not only can you buy and find beautiful handcrafted pieces as far as home decor goes, but you also get to know the story behind the artists and artisans behind the brands. Does that sound a little familiar? Anyway, today we're excited to introduce Gwen Gardner, founder of Simply Chickie Clothing, an eco-conscious, playful baby and toddler apparel brand. Simply Chickie is known for its clever design, I'm sorry. Simply Chickie is known for its clever design, everyday comfort, and pieces that let the little personalities shine. So, Gwen, we're ready to learn and be inspired. So, the spotlight is yours.
Hi, nice to see everyone. I'm Gwen Gardner from Simply Chickie. I live in Newport, Rhode Island, and I own the company Simply Chickie, which is simplychickieclothing.com. Omni-channel, I wholesale. I obviously have a website, and I do a lot of in-person markets around the country.
And how did you get started with the brand?
So I started Simply Chickie a really long time ago, basically 20 years ago. I found out, well, I decided to move out on my boyfriend, but on that, I hadn't been feeling well. So I went to the doctor on Monday. The next day, I found out I was pregnant. And then the next day, I found out I actually had breast cancer, stage 2. So that was quite a week. And I'm still here. So I was operated on, I moved through the pregnancy, but that's when my eyes were really opened and I decided to kind of go organic and always possible. So I started doing a lot of research. What was I putting on my skin? What was I washing my dishes with? What was I eating? And I feel like I have a sense of humor. So I decided to start a clothing line because I thought, oh, I'm going to have so much time while I'm like nursing this baby. And so I started again doing research because I was a teacher, started looking into textiles and discovered that regular conventional cotton is one of the most polluting crops in the world. The insecticides, the pesticides are nasty. So I thought, well, let me see if I can find a different way. And I started researching, trying to find organic materials. So I found organic cotton originally in California, of course, where I think all organic kind of starts. I found a company there. So I used the base material from this company, and then I printed my funny designs on the clothing and kind of grew from there. So I've been, like I said, I've been around now for 20 years. I feel like I was a disruptor back then because organic clothing, I had to do a lot of education. Like I did farmers markets. People would come up to me and say, what's organic cotton? So I explained that we don't have to do that anymore. I feel it's really prevalent in the community and kind of in the world community. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe it had something to do with that a little bit. And yeah, and so I've moved on from there. You know, I now wholesale to companies across the country, but I still maintain contact with, I really love doing in-person markets because just being able to talk to people and having me connect with what they actually like if they're actually laughing at something, I'm like, oh, this is a good one. So
I love that. And I just like your story in terms of like how much you kind of like, overcome and to actually could be able to do this and something that can really make people put smiles on their face. So what inspired you for the name of your company?
well, I would call my daughter a little chick. So it became Little Chickie. Her grandmother, I'm sorry, her great grandmother was actually called Chickie as well. So I was like, maybe I can put, a couple of these things together and came up with Simply Chickie.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. And also, I love the fact that you were in the, start of when we started going more eco-friendly, but really it was something that felt that you needed to do for yourself, and just the idea of incorporating, like the Simply Chickie whole name, into the business and the brand. My question for you is, how often do you feel like, or do you get like little nuggets from the in-person interviews that you do, or, like the in-person meetups that you do with other people in the marketplaces?
So for ideas for my clothing, yeah, those come from a disparate angles. I'll be driving and something will pop into my head. One of my designs that's quite popular, I was working at a farmer's market, and this woman next to me, like all summer, was making fresh squeezed lemonade and
Mm.
putting mint in, and she was just squeezing all summer. And at the end of the summer, I suddenly just popped into my head. I said, oh my gosh, I have my next design. So I created little lemons. And then I said, I get squeezed a lot. And
Right.
it's, yeah, people really love that one. Another one is actually one that I'm wearing now. I actually just put ice cream a lot on my adult, but I did have it on kids. And I would go to, in the summertime, there's in Newport, they do movies Thursday nights, and everybody gets together, and there's a lot of food trucks. And I just kept seeing this awesome ice cream cart. And again, this popped into my mind. I scream a lot. My daughter, I have to say, I always pass my designs through my daughter. She will tell me if it's not good.
Yeah,
So
there's no truth like a family member, honestly.
and I want that before I
Yes.
print a lot of them, right?
Yes.
So one of the funniest stories is I have this cute little whale. It had an eye, it had a little, the spurt coming out in waves. It's blue. I didn't have a smile on it. I didn't have anything. I just had an eye. I printed some of them, took it to market among others, and I wasn't really selling any. So I came home, showed it to my daughter, and she was like 8 years old. And I said, what do you think of my little whale? And she just looked at it and she said, Mommy, why is it not smiling? And I was like, oh my God. So I literally put a smile. I just put a smile on it. And it is a very popular one to this day.
Aw.
Yeah.
It's the little things, the little things that you don't really think about. You're like, I don't understand. Like, what do you think? You're like,
Oh my God. So I pass everything before it actually goes to print. She's a big tennis player. Another one I came up with, it has tennis rackets and a tennis ball, and it says, I'm the result of a great match. Ha ha.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really popular, but it went through a couple of renditions.
Yes.
Like, and this is a newer design. I want to say it's about 5 years ago, and she's a big tennis player.
Yeah.
So I had to get it right, and I did not have it right for a while. But when I did, she's like, yeah, that's good. That's funny. So I was like, okay.
But that's like, beautiful. She's your muse. Yeah.
So, as a solo entrepreneur, what has been one of your biggest lessons learned since launching your business?
One of my biggest lessons is to just be prepared for the roller coaster, because you can have your best day. You get in like a big magazine. You have an amazing show where everybody's like, they can't get enough of your product. And then literally the next day, like something will happen, something not so good. So it's a roller coaster. And just like, I think sometimes people have this idyllic view of an entrepreneur, like you're going to have all this time and, you're working for yourself. And so you can do this and that. But, with everything, there's also a downside. So you just have to be prepared for the ups and downs, because they come and they are certain. So I say, like, don't quit your day job until you're like, just like, you can't do the other thing. You just can't do the other thing. And then you really do have to make a choice, which is what happened, what happened to me. And then I've just always tried to be in the three categories, meaning I've always done in-person markets. I've done wholesale, and I've also, had an online presence because, as you might remember during the pandemic, so I was doing a lot of online. I had a store in New York, and I was really like front facing, in people's faces, doing a lot more of that. Obviously, pandemic happened, and I really had to switch and just really focus on online and really tried to build that up. So again, that's the other roller coaster. So I did that, and then like I just always have kind of had to be in wholesale too, because you get a bigger chunk of money.
Hmm.
So what, with wholesale, it's obviously it's less, but it tends to be a bigger chunk of money. And then that affords you the ability to buy in bulk for maybe the in-person markets. So I just have always feel like I'm juggling, trying to keep all three in the air, because you never know when one's going to drop.
And how do you keep yourself sane like through all of these? Or do you find that it's still something that you're trying to like work out and balance?
Yeah, I sometimes I do that really well, and sometimes I don't.
Hmm.
So December was an example of trying to keep the balls in the air,
Hmm.
and I was taking really good care of myself in October and November in preparation for the end of the year. And I just couldn't maintain the healthy eating and all of that during the
Hmm.
holiday season. So I got sick. Yeah, I got sick. So that's just something that you kind of have to keep in mind. And it's always a balancing act. It's just always a balancing act. And sometimes you do it well, and then sometimes you fall off the balance beam. And it just
Hmm.
reminds you, oh yeah. So at the beginning of the year, I'm drinking, making my healthy tea, the ginger, the turmeric, the
Ooh.
all that good stuff, the honey, getting local honey, and just getting back to doing what I'm supposed to do, and then starting the year off right.
And that's really true though, because a lot of times we get so busy, it's not until we get like sick or our
Mhm.
immune system is low and you're like, why did I do this to myself? But at that point you're just like, okay, I got to do better, because the key is your business can't run and you can't be your full self if you're not good. So it's just that, sometimes, we don't realize it until we get there. So we're just like, oh.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's just you just dive in, you're like da 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 da, and you're just doing, late nights, and then your body says, "Hello, knock knock
Yep.
knock, look at me."
Yeah. And wait, actually, well, before I actually forget, I did hear that you have a little something something coming out. So I know that you specialize primarily with like baby and toddlers, but do you have an adult line coming up or currently?
Yeah, so I've been adding more of my designs to adult clothing. So right now I'm wearing I scream a lot. I have local chick, which is on adult. I have a big lobster, local patch. Over the holidays, I did have a little snowman, and it said, I'm a little frosty sometimes. I have ski.
Yeah.
And then I do have another one that I will be launching in the kids, but I'm also going to do it on adult. And I'll tell you what it is because I think it's super cute. I have like, the s'mores over like a little fire and little marshmallows toasting. And I say, s'more hugs, please.
I
But my
love that.
daughter has given me the approval to put it on adult because she's like, Mom, I would wear that
Are you
because
kidding?
we need some hugs this year. We
Yes.
need some hugs.
Yes.
I mean,
Like, and
come on,
it's
there's
also,
s'mores.
and it's just something that, like, as you see, like, strangers in passing, like, one will read it and just be like, you know what, yes,
Yeah.
like, and just have it resonate. Kind of like, can I? But I know you. I don't know you, but you know what? Okay, like, you know,
2026 needs to be the year of hugs.
Yeah.
it
Oh,
really does.
yes. Definitely. So, if you could give one piece of advice to a woman starting a product-based business who's looking to go into it, what would that be based off of your own lived and personal experiences?
Find a community and join a lot of communities to figure out which one you like. So I kind of do a word a year and I try to focus on that, whether it's 1 year after the pandemic was friendship. So I connected with my friends and I wanted to, see them wherever they lived. And last year it was community. So I joined a chamber of commerce, a couple of them. I joined several women's groups. I joined a community in Boston. And so it was a lot of different communities to find out which ones I wanted to hang with and continue to hang with, because there's only so much you can do, but definitely find an entrepreneur, a business community, because they are the ones that are going to understand what you're going through. And I just feel like everyone has, some little piece of advice that may be either confirming like what you're thinking, or something that can take you down a different path that, like, oh wow, yeah, I need to be doing that, or let me think about that. And it's also like helping, because I feel like we feel almost better when we're helping others, and then that gives you a dose of dopamine to give you some energy to go do what you need to do. So it's finding a community that's really, really important.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to piggyback off of what you said. And honestly, that's very important, honestly, because especially also that second part that you said, finding the community in the business aspect that you're in, because sometimes unless you're in it and unless you've experienced it, you don't really understand truly the full thing, the ups and the downs. And it makes a complete difference, because that's what really can get you into a better space, or even sometimes just the idea of being able to bounce ideals for people seeing it in the same perspective and being like, oh, I like it, but maybe you can tweak it a little bit so that it can reach this people. And then you're like, I never thought about it. So it's definitely really important. And that's something that we always tell people, that if community is everything, finding your right community. And I love how you said that join multiple communities, because you really never know, because what works for one person may not work for you. So you definitely want to try, fill it out, and you never know what type of experience you're going to get from each of them.
Exactly. And and something that I have also noticed is sometimes when you're giving advice, it's the advice you need to take.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, because you can see it in another person's business better sometimes, right?
Yes.
I remember talking to a friend, and as I'm telling her, we're like, why have you tried this and this? And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, I need to be doing that.
Yeah. No, truly, I would say the same as far as like what you find within a community is it, as you were saying, like it echoes back to you about like also the things where you need to work on as well. What would you say is the surprising thing that you've learned though through like networking and communicating and inside of these communities?
That you need a lot more money to do the things you want than you think you have.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh, I'm going to print this. I'm going to do this. Oh man, it's going to cost that much. It's the financial aspect that can be kind of surprising sometimes.
And hopefully it is one where like, you go in and you're just kind of like, hey, does anyone have direction, for easing the financial burdens of this, or like know someone who may want to put it in, but definitely understand that for sure.
Yeah, like margins are really important. Like you can be making a lot of money, but when you subtract all of that stuff that needs to be subtracted, maybe if you switch or allocate, because this is what happened last year. I did 2 massive markets. And I discovered when I looked at my margins that it was better just to do one big one versus 2 big ones, because I really wasn't making any more money over that. So it's just so key to like pay attention to your margins.
And also, even with Simply Chickie as a whole, like you clearly see the line of legacy that is, like that is being formed through it. My question to you is like, what would you want the legacy of Simply Chickie to be though? Like from your perspective.
Joy. Joy. No one comes into my booth unhappy. No one's coming to my website unhappy. There's a new life somewhere in their life. I see people walk up to me and they have a big smile on their face, and I can tell that first time grandmother like nobody's business.
Yeah.
But anybody who comes in is joyful, they're happy. And if they stick around long enough, I know they're looking for someone. And I will usually say, oh, you have a little one in your life? And then they'll immediately smile and say, yeah, I'm going to be a new auntie, or yeah, I'm getting something for my wife, or it might be the mom and she's like, we're going to make the announcement and we want to get something to show people, so I'm there at the happiest moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a woman come up to me at my booth and she read one of my designs. It's a poem. And she started crying. And she's like, oh my goodness, this is like, you need to just have that on a poster. I was like, well, it's on a t-shirt. Yeah. So it's the emotional impact. It's the joy. I do think one person can make a difference. A lot of times we get overwhelmed and we're like, how are we going to make this change? Or how are we going to do this? Or how we do that? Well, you have to put one foot in front of the other and you have to do it. You have to do whatever that is. And then someone else looks at it and you might inspire them. And so I think I want my legacy to be joy.
Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful though. But I did actually piggyback off of that. For my last question, if you had one piece of advice that you wanted someone to leave here from your story, from your experience, what would that be?
It's going to get better, through tragedy. I think you grow or can grow, and it's going to get better. It has to get better. So it will get better. Even in your darkest moments, it does get better.
I love that though. I like that because it gives it where it's like, even though you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you just know that it's there. And you just know that even when it's really dark, you just kind of keep pushing. And that's why one reason why, even when it comes to businesses, we say, if you're not truly passionate about in your purpose and your mission and things of that manner, it makes it a lot harder to get through those dark times where you're like, okay, I'm not just pushing because I'm not just trying to make the money, but you also want to do it with a purpose and intention, because that's what really keeps you going during the tough times and when you feel like, okay, this is getting a lot.
It all goes back to your why. It goes back to your why. I mean, that's people say that a lot, like, oh, what's your why? What's your why? But it really is, what's your why? Why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Because if you're not having joy or feel like you're making a difference, then do something else.
Right.
Yes.
I feel like that, and also like just the thing of like maybe taking a step back to like reevaluate what actually is the most important part of it so that you can put it a little bit more inside of your brand too. I guess like my question for you would be, with regards to like growth decisions, what would be the most pivotal thing that happened in terms of like shaping Simply Chickie into what it is today, outside of course, like the origin and also the pandemic?
So I can't include the pandemic.
Actually, if you want to go ahead, yeah, because that did do a lot of things to people in their businesses. So yes.
That nailed down what I was already thinking, in that I need to be multi-channel, because you never know when something is not going to work. I had a store in New York. I literally closed it December of 2019, and we all know what happened. And I'm glad that happened, but my idea was just to do a lot more local in-person markets. And obviously we know what happened. And I was like, wait a minute, I need to be more global online. I need to be online and global. So it was like going from in person to all of a sudden, I really need to be in this global community because everyone's on their computer. So it was just really hammered home, like just trying to be multi-channel if you have a product business, or really any probably entrepreneur. I just have more experience in the product arena.
Okay. And We usually also like to even do a little bonus closing though, with regards to getting to know you a little bit more, even though I feel like you've been very open, so which thank you for that. But what is one fun or surprising fact about you?
So I was a competitive ice skater growing up, and I continued well into my adult years and really only stopped competing after Lake Placid in 2014. So yeah, so that's I always identified as an ice skater first. I'm an ice skater. If someone would say, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm an ice skater." And I always had a job,
Of course,
but it
yeah.
was like that was my identity. So it was quite a change after I stopped. So I feel like my entrepreneurship really kind of took off when I kind of left skating behind because I needed kind of a new identity. So yeah.
That's
But
amazing
I was a
though.
competitive ice skater for a long time. Yeah, ice
Yeah.
dancer.
And also, it's still keeping you in the creative spaces too. So, just a little shift. Yeah.
I've also climbed Mount Fuji.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
How was
really?
that?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. You're like,
Yeah, I lived in Japan for a while. I've actually lived in several countries, different countries. But when I lived there, yeah, I climbed Fuji, which was amazing. And this was, oh gosh, like 35 years ago.
wow. I love how she
Yeah.
just
Like,
threw it
I
in
love
there. She
hiking,
was
but
like,
like, no, not yet.
I love how she threw it in there, like, oh, by the way, I also did
I
this, and I just
know.
talked about it. Like, I'm over here like I've seen it from afar, but I have not
Yeah.
climbed it. Like I went over there, like, oh, this is pretty. Like okay, lovely, but that's as
You
close as I
have
got to it.
not seen a sunrise until you've been on the top of
Oh my
Mount Fuji.
God.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Did you
Insane.
have to did you do any like is it like a climate difference in terms of temperature wise that you kind of sometimes they said when
Like
there's certain
elevation.
altitudes?
Sure, sure. A little bit. It was August when I did, so there was a little bit, but it wasn't that
Wasn't
bad.
too
It was
okay.
August, so
Yeah.
it was still okay. But yeah, it was hard.
How long did it take you to
I
like go
can't.
from the base to the peak?
So when you climb Fuji, you climb from the 10th station. So you're actually taken to the
Mm.
10th station, and then you physically climb the rest of the way. Now
Hmm.
it is a walking, but
Hmm.
it's incredibly steep because it's like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it took a long time. I think we started climbing in the afternoon, and I think we got there at like 3:30 in the morning, something like that, or 3 in the morning.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Oh,
yeah,
Wait, so you started in the afternoon?
something like that. As I recall, this was
Oh my,
35 years ago.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then you got to the top at close to 3 in the morning?
yeah, as I recall, because we were there right before the sunrise. So
Yeah, because I
I
remember you
remember.
said the sunrise. So did you guys
Mhm.
like bring like, like the water and brought like snacks and stuff like that? Or they had stopping areas?
So the cool thing about there's like different stations and different along the
Oh,
way you can
wow.
stop and have like whatever tea or water at various places on the
Oh,
way up.
wow.
It's still incredibly difficult.
Well, you
yeah.
well,
Anytime you place the word steep inside of the conversation, forget it.
exactly.
That's
And
like,
then
Yeah. It's like, hold on.
it's like walking trail or not, it's still steep. Like, and I hate that.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. But I was already a runner and an ice skater,
Yeah,
so I was kind of,
exactly. But the key is once you're up there, that's the real accomplishment is to
Yes.
actually.
yeah. And then you run down because it's so steep. You can't stop.
No, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
Like,
what you don't realize.
Yeah.
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh yeah, I made the hard part.
Yeah.
How
And
do
then you're
you
like,
like how do you run? Like
yeah,
going down
yeah.
the whole thing.
I've done definitely not as steep. But like I've done some steep hills before or like climbs and I same. Like I'm just like, you know what? I might as well stay up here, like call it a day. Like someone can airlift, like come and get me. I don't care. But so
oh, that is amazing. So going into our next part, we know how much love and intention goes into Simply Chicky. If there's one thing that you would love our community to do to support you and your mission, or even connect with your brand, what would that be?
Follow me on Instagram at Simply Chickie. You'll see the little chick pop up.
yeah.
So I would love a follow on Instagram. And I'm trying to build my Pinterest presence. So follow me on Pinterest as well. Same Simply Chickie. And yeah, and if there's a baby shower, in the offing, go to my website, simplychickieclothing.com. I got you covered.
Oh,
That's so cute.
okay. And so from creativity to conscious design, Gwen Gardner's journey reminds us that the most meaningful brands are built with intention and heart, just as Ty said before, and also a great muse in her daughter. So through Simply Chickie, she shows how personal experiences can shape and show purpose-driven choices and turn everyday moments into something lasting. If Gwen's story resonated with you, be sure to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more founder conversations rooted in purpose and creativity. And again, help, like push her up on the Pinterest, side of things. So until next time, keep building, keep growing, and stay inspired. Bye.
Bye.